But as long as मुझे लगे कि यार okay, वो भी कर रहा है कुछ और मैं भी कर रही हूँ, it's okay. If I start to feel like यार 100% sacrifice मैं दे रही हूँ, तो then it makes an unfair situation and it makes for an unhappy marriage and then you just want to quit everything. I would not do this if my husband was not also giving time to my kid. Oh, you work too hard, or तुम तो हर वक्त ऑफिस चली जाती हो or something like that. Rather than उसको दिल पे लेना, फिर रात को मियाँ को कहना, फिर कि this one said this to me. I didn't do any of that. There are people I hired who I thought would be part of our core team for life, and they turned out to be horrible human beings. I want to just give people the freedom to do, but then sometimes I'm like, oh, but are they really working? Like, what are they doing right now? I mean, this is, something me and my head of marketing have had fights or arguments over, where she's like, you're micromanaging me. I'm like, well, you asked for my opinion. You said, what do you think of this design, So now I think the red should become blue and whatever.
कैसी हैं मदिया आप?
बिल्कुल ठीक. How are you, Ma?
I am absolutely good. Welcome to the Hustle Stories. And before starting this interview, I'd like to share my feelings. जब मैं किसी भी women entrepreneur का interview करती हूँ या people like you और ख़वातीन को मैं ऐसी positions पे देखती हूँ C level पे, तो बहुत अच्छा लगता है. एंड इंटरव्यू की डायरेक्शन और जो इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चंस का जो एंगल है वो बिल्कुल चेंज हो जाता है क्योंकि देयर आर लाइक डिफरेंट स्ट्रगल्स यू एज अ वुमेन व्हेन यू आर ऑन सच पोजीशन, तो आप वहाँ भी देखोगे और आप एक पर्सनल लाइफ भी आपकी बहुत ज़्यादा मैटर कर रही होती है बिकॉज हमारी सोसाइटी में स्पेशली देयर आर लॉट्स ऑफ हर्डल्स फॉर वुमेन काम करने के लिए, आगे बढ़ने के लिए, अपना पैशन परस्यू करने के लिए. तो सबसे पहला मेरा सवाल यही होगा कि like you as the CEO of Lals, I'm sure I read your articles and I read the interview, I watched the interviews. तो मैंने ये देखा कि आपने शुरू से अपनी मॉम के बिजनेस में उनको सपोर्ट किया है, वहीं से आपने काम शुरू किया है. तो आप जब आपकी शादी हुई, इससे पहले से ही आप काम कर रहे हो, एंड देन जब आपकी शादी हुई उसके बाद आपकी लाइफ कैसे चेंज हुई एंड यू वर वर्किंग, तो मैं जानना चाहती हूँ हाउ वाज द स्ट्रगल बिटवीन द पर्सनल एंड प्रोफेशनल लाइफ.
देखो, as a young girl, I was always very driven. Okay, I was always very ambitious. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but most people who know me would say कि it's not that I was just going to sit around and not do anything, right? So the last thing I thought I would do is work with my mother. We're like that. We think, why will we join our parents and why will I join my mother's business? But it just so happened, right? Ki she was starting out this thing and I thought, oh, I'm just helping her for a few years while I figure out my own path. As I started that, I realized that actually I really enjoy this. I enjoy running a business. I'm learning so much. It's fun. I get to travel. I get to learn new things. So I just continue to do it. In that process, जब मेरी शादी हुई, I remember this. My wedding was around the 22nd of March. And I was working up until I'd say like 6-7 days before my wedding, because why would I take time off? Like even today when people say, like we need to take time off, well before our wedding, we have all of this planning to do. I would say, okay, but you can take a few hours in the day and you can go do the errands that you need to do, but your life has to go on. Like planning a wedding cannot be an all-encompassing, life, like 6-month process. सिर्फ वही नहीं है. After I got married, we went on a honeymoon, but I came back and went to work the next day. There was no, for me it was very matter of fact, right? And I remember, obviously, there are real life considerations for other people. I have good teammates, good colleagues who have also gone through the same process and their journey has been different from mine. For me, I remember clearly, I was 25, 26 years old. I woke up, obviously in this new house with in-laws and, different people are in this house. It's not the same as my parents' house. But I was just like, okay, I'm going to work, And I think that somebody in the house must have commented, Acha, but what about your room? Like, who'll clean your room? And I was like, well, whoever's cleaning the rest of the house, like, but not, okay. But there was never any, I also think that my in-laws were not the type to really be like, why are you working? Like, why are you leaving? I think they just accepted me for who I was.
They were very supportive,
I think they just accepted me for who I was, right? Yeah.
So आप शुरू से what do you like wanted to do, क्या आप करना चाहते थे शुरू से? Since Lals में enter होना wasn't your dream, of course वो करते करते आपने start किया.
There was a few things. जब मैं college में थी, I wanted to be a lawyer. I'm really into politics, so I really thought, okay, like I will get into public service. I will do something for my country. You know, I wanted and I also enjoy business. So I had this thing, okay, I'm going to go to law school and then do something that involves the law and public service and business. This is where I was headed. I really wanted to study the law. And then when I graduated from my undergrad, तो मैंने जो लॉ स्कूल का एग्ज़ाम होता है उसके लिए पढ़ाई की, फिर इंटरव्यूज़ जो एडमिशन्स के एप्लीकेशंस भरी, इंटरव्यूज़ के लिए गई. एंड इन दैट प्रोसेस आई रियलाइज कि एक्चुअली आई डोंट वांट टू बी अ लॉयर. I think litigation is fun, but the vast majority of of what legal work is just studying documents, and I don't want to do that.
So how was the experience while you entered into business? Because you had no experience of that. You didn't study business. You studied politics, right?
Yeah.
So how was the experience then?
So for me, it was a slow journey. Okay, when I started, I didn't know very much about running a business. And my mother is an incredibly creative, very driven person, but she too is not like a pure business person, right? So I had to learn from others around me. So we had a team, we had an accountant, we had a purchaser, and so I learned from them, I learned from my brother, I learned from people around me. It took me, I think it really took me 2 years. I wasn't CEO obviously the day I started, right? I was just, my visiting card I remember would just say Madiha Sultan Lals Chocolates, because I didn't know what my designation should be. And I think it took me 3-4 years to be able to say, okay, now I feel ready to be the CEO of this company to set the direction.
Where did you start? Like कहाँ से फिर business development से start किया?
देखिए उस वक़्त हमारी पूरी टीम थी, जब हमने पहला स्टोर खोला होगा कोई 10 लोग थे, राइट? तो उस वक़्त किसी की कोई डेजिग्नेशन तो थी नहीं. लाइक वी हैड 3 people इन सेल्स जो शॉप में सेल्स कर रहे थे, एक अकाउंटेंट, एक परचेसर, एक मैं थी. आई वुड समटाइम्स बी एट द शॉप सेल्स, समटाइम्स आई वुड बी वर्किंग विद प्रिंटर्स एंड वेंडर्स कि अच्छी पैकेजिंग कैसे करें, चीज़ों को सही तरह डिज़ाइन कैसे करें. Some days I would be checking invoices, and you know it was like a small mom and pop shop. It was really, that's how I learned. And I had some like big failures too, you know. I had some big opportunities to sell a lot, and it didn't work out, and that taught me so much. I traveled to food fairs, to like trade fairs, right? Trade fairs really teach you a lot. I think that if you want to get into a new business, and if you can manage it, go to a trade fair. I remember the first one जिस पे मैं गई, and my older brother, he went with me, you know, just for company. And what we did was we went to every stall, okay, like that was related to our industry, confectionery or chocolate, and I would just go to them and say, okay, tell me about your company. आप लोग क्या करते हैं? And then they would tell me what they do, and then I would try to link it to Lals in some way, and I would just learn from that. That was like 3 years of growth in those 3 days. You know, it was fantastic.
Wow, wow, amazing, amazing. So before getting into that debate कि आपने क्या क्या गलतियों से कैसे सीखा, because मैं specific उस पे जाऊँगी, because we want people to learn. hustle का जो purpose है वो यही है, हमारा vision यही है कि we want young entrepreneurs and students who are watching us should learn from the early times mistakes, ताकि वो repeat ना करें और उससे सीखें. So before going to that, I would like to know, of course I've read it, but from your point of view, what was the vision behind Lals? And of course जब आपकी मदर ने ये स्टार्ट किया स्पेशली, तो और जब आप उसमें एंटर हुए तो चॉकलेट्स वाज समथिंग जिसका आपको ऑफ कोर्स कोई यू नो एक्सपीरियंस नहीं था, एंड एंटरिंग इनटू सच इंडस्ट्री, ऑफ कोर्स देयर मस्ट बी सम चैलेंजेस. सो वी स्टार्ट फ्रॉम द विजन एंड देन यू कैन टॉक अबाउट द चैलेंजेस.
Look, I can't speak for my mother's vision. You should have her here next time. For me, truthfully, I did not have a clear vision for the company until many years later, okay? And I know that in today's day and age of goal setting and planning and 3-year plan and 5-year plan, to be able to honestly say, I didn't have a vision is weird, but that's what it was. I didn't have it. I just wanted to do something, to get involved, and then see where it would go. I was really taking it a week, 10 days, a month at a time. I didn't know if my company would still be there 15 years later, right? So truthfully, initially there was no vision. There was just this idea that we want to sell beautifully packaged chocolates in Pakistan. That was it. That was the idea.
And I read this also somewhere कि आपने कहा कि मैं growth पे ज़्यादा focus नहीं करती. मैं चाहती हूँ कि जो हम कर रहे हैं वो हम अपना best दें.
Yep.
And later on we focus on growth.
Yes.
So what is the idea behind it?
So even today, okay, I just a few weeks ago a friend was asking me, okay, what is your plan? What is your number? What is the number you want to hit in 5 years? And I said, I don't have a number. And he said, why don't you have a number? I don't work like that. What I can tell you, if you ask me what is your plan, I can tell you that the next goal, the next idea that I want to achieve and see done is I want to make really unique chocolate that is unique to Pakistan and that we export to the rest of the world, right? That is now a clear vision I have. Truthfully, in these last 3 months when our country has gone through all of this economic turmoil, is the first time that I felt that I have a very clear vision for the company.
Okay.
Now I can tell you I have a very clear vision. But did I have it all these years? No, there were times where I had no idea. I was just like, बस just चलते रहो, कभी ना कभी destination पे पहुंच ही जाओगे. You will know when you're there.
So I'll come back to that same question जहाँ पे मैं ये बात कर रही थी कि हम personal और professional lives को simultaneously कैसे लेकर चल सकते हैं, because a lot of times बहुत सारी ख़वातीन को मैंने देखा है, मेरे आसपास भी ऐसी ख़वातीन हैं जो शादी के बाद काम करना छोड़ देती हैं, अपना पैशन परस्यू नहीं करती, जबकि they are very talented, they are very hard working, they can go a long way, लेकिन मैंने देखा है ऐसा कि वो नहीं कर पाती. Of course there is this point कि उन्हें support नहीं मिलता फैमिली की तरफ से या in-laws की तरफ से, but at times in-laws की तरफ से support होता भी है, तब भी वो नहीं कर पाती क्योंकि again वो कुछ points ऐसे होते हैं कि मसरूफियत अगेन घर की चीज़ें प्रायोरिटी पर हैं या घर को या बच्चों को प्रायोरिटी पे रखना है. अगेन अगर आप वहाँ टाइम कम दोगे तो अपब्रिंगिंग पे डिफरेंस आ जाएगा और आपको अपब्रिंगिंग जो बच्चों की है वो सबसे ज़्यादा फोकस करनी है. सो डू यू हैव किड्स?
I do. I have 2 kids.
How old are they?
6 and 9.
माशाल्लाह. सो मेरा अगला सवाल यही होगा कि ऑफ कोर्स आपने उनकी अभी तक की 6 साल और 9 साल वाली जर्नी अपनी CEO लाइफ या लाल्स के साथ में परस्यू की है, कंटिन्यू की है. खास तौर पे वो पॉइंट जब आपने शादी की और उसके बाद आपने कंटिन्यू किया अपना पैशन और फिर बच्चे एंड ऑल दैट. सो हाउ चैलेंजिंग इट वाज?
Look, I think it's not always been easy. Okay, I think that there's 2 things. So when you get married, I think it's incredibly important that you and your partner have an actual partnership, right? You have aligned values. Okay, so with my husband and I, it was always very clear that our lives will continue, and yes, we are taking on the responsibility of our families, right? What I'm expected to do in his family is obviously, because of our culture, much greater than what he is expected to do in my family, right? But I think that as long as मुझे लगे कि यार okay, वो भी कर रहा है कुछ और मैं भी कर रही हूँ, it's okay. If I start to feel like यार 100% sacrifice मैं दे रही हूँ, तो then it makes an unfair situation and it makes for an unhappy marriage, and then you just want to quit everything, right? Luckily, I have a great spouse who's very supportive, who understands, who sees what his wife does, what I want from my life, and helps me achieve that. I think managing in-laws and managing your children are 2 separate things. Okay, oftentimes we combine the 2, right? Because we think if my kids are alone at home, what will my in-laws think, and therefore am I a bad parent? We don't need to make this horrible triangle. Okay, it's unrelated. You're a great parent if you give your kids quality time. I believe, this is my personal. I don't think you need to be around your children all the time. You just need to give them a few hours of quality time every day if you can do that, you're going to have great kids, right? You see people, you see women all over the world who manage this. At the same time, I could not do this if my husband was not also giving time to my kids, right? ये तो नहीं हो सकता कि वो 10 बजे घर आए, मैं मतलब 6 बजे घर आऊँ और जी 2 घंटे बच्चों को दें, फिर बच्चे सो जाएं. Everybody has to. So our thing was that both of us would be home by 5 o'clock. Okay. From 5 to 8 is the time we spend with our kids. We play with them, we hang out with them, we put them to bed, we read to them. And we always felt very fulfilled. Of course, there are days when your kid is sick and you can't go into the office, but that, I think that the entire work culture needs to change, right? We have a pretty flexible environment. If there's an employee who has a sick kid, you know, work from home, all of that. And but ये COVID के बाद और बेहतर हो गया, right? Because after COVID, everybody was working from home. Yes. So now I don't feel the need to see people's faces. It's okay. Like if you have a sick child and you want to stay home, or you don't have a sick child, today you just want to work from home because you want peace of mind. By all means, do it. It's okay. You know. And to your point about in-laws, look, I think that all human beings, if communicated to respectfully and openly, will eventually understand you, right? I think I was really fortunate in that I had, I don't know, God gave me the brain spark to be communicative from the beginning, right? If anybody ever said to me, oh, you know, you work too hard, or you know, तुम तो हर वक्त ऑफिस चली जाती हो, or something like that, rather than उसको दिल पे लेना, फिर रात को मियाँ को कहना, फिर कि oh, you know, this one said this to me, I didn't do any of that. I would just, the next day, I would absorb it, went to my best friends, cry कि oh, मुझे ये किसी ने कह दिया, and then have that conversation with the person who said that to me. कि you know, you said that thing to me and it hurt my feelings, because if I'm a daughter in this house, then, you know, please treat me like one. This is important to me. This is my life. And maybe I'm just lucky that I have a great in-law system. But I also feel it wasn't just that. I feel that it was having those conversations, giving that person that respect and that time to say, okay, look, this is who I am. Your opinion also means something to me. I would appreciate if you would think well of me. This is my life.
तो दो चीज़ें इसमें बहुत मैटर करती हैं, एक कम्युनिकेशन, दूसरा आपका सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस जी, क्योंकि ये दो वही चीज़ें हैं. अब अगर लोग डर जाते हैं, खासकर ख़वातीन की बात करें, डर जाते हैं वो मेरे बारे में क्या सोचेंगे, या यू नो नाराज़ हो जाएंगे, या बुरा समझेंगे मुझे, या मेरी प्रायोरिटीज़ अलग है तो मैं जज की जाऊंगी, तो वो सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस होना बहुत ज़रूरी है और बैठ कर बात करना बहुत ज़रूरी है.
बिल्कुल. I think confidence is not the word I would use. It's just believing in yourself. You don't need to have confidence. Confidence to me is like to really, you know, outwardly. You just need to believe in yourself. Even अगर आप डर के किसी से जाके ये बात कर लें, but you need to do that for the rest of your life to work out. Another thing I tell young girls who are getting married now, कि यार precedent आपने set करना होता है. जो चीज़ आप शुरू दिन से करेंगे, वो आपको जिंदगी भर करनी पड़ेगी. So please, do only in the beginning what you think you can do 10 years later. You know, if you don't want to, I don't know, if you don't want to make tea for your husband every morning, or if you want to make tea for your husband every morning, then just as a random example, then don't do it from the beginning if you're not going to do it later, you know. Please watch what you do in the beginning.
तो जब आपने ऑर्गेनाइजिंग की बात की कि आप और आपके हस्बैंड ने एक टाइम सेट किया हुआ है कि आप आएंगे 5 बजे के बाद आप बच्चों को टाइम देंगे, तो ऑर्गेनाइज करना अपनी लाइफ को ज़रूरी है, पर अगेन उसके साथ साथ देन देयर आर कॉम्प्रोमाइजेस. सो व्हाट कॉम्प्रोमाइजेस यू मेड और योर हस्बैंड मेड, और ऑल्टरनेटिव आप करते थे किस तरह?
यार आई थिंक वी जस्ट मेड चॉइसेस, ओके, नॉट नेसेसरली कॉम्प्रोमाइजेस. देखो, हर स्टेज फ़र्क होता है. When the kids are really small, okay, then I couldn't be out till 5, right? When my kids were really small, my office was 10 minutes from my house. So I would come back home at lunchtime, then they go for a nap, then I would leave again, then I would come back. It was very hectic. But none of this is possible without good help. I had 2 very good nannies. Okay, like, I mean, I should say that. It's not possible. Yeah, it's absolutely impossible if you don't have help. You can't just rely कि यार मैंने family member पे छोड़ दिया. Like, poor family members, they also have to go about their day, right? So I had great nannies. My house was only 10 minutes away. Then when the kids started school, you know, it became a bit easier. Now they're in school till 1 o'clock, And also, I think the post-COVID world has changed. Our quality of life has changed in that actually I work from home now. I don't go to an office. I don't even have an office.
Okay.
Right? My whole management team actually works from home.
Okay,
And we only go into Lals when we have to meet each other. Otherwise, we talk on the phone, we meet on Zoom.
Okay.
That's our life. And my husband also works from home now. So actually, it's really quite easy for both of us. Yeah.
Achha, okay,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So I think these were some really good advices for young women entrepreneurs, I would say especially.
Yeah.
And now coming to the point of business.
Yeah.
उससे related सबसे पहला सवाल जो मेरे ज़हन में आया वो ये कि okay, so you didn't have that background, but वक्त के साथ साथ आपने experience किया. We'll talk about work related challenges as well.
Yeah.
But before that, किसी business को brand बनाना is a big challenge itself.
Yes.
तो I'll talk about that challenge first, क्योंकि आप किसी भी बिजनेस में चले जाएं, दुकानें और भी हैं, बेकरीज और भी हैं, शॉप्स और भी हैं, फूड बिजनेस में और भी लोग हैं, डिफरेंट इंडस्ट्रीज में और भी लोग हैं, पर उस बिजनेस को ब्रांड बनाने की जो जर्नी है और जो चैलेंजेस हैं या व्हाट इज द की पॉइंट टू बाय विच यू कैन मेक योर बिजनेस अ ब्रांड, उस पर आप बात.
देखिए, आई थिंक कि एक बिजनेस को ग्रो करने के लिए यू नीड अ ग्रेट टीम. Okay, you need a few key colleagues who are going to help you grow, who are going to hire the right people, because you cannot do everything on your own. It's not possible. I think I'm very creative and I think I have a great aesthetic sense, but if I didn't have a great marketing team, that work wouldn't get done. So the fact that Lals is such a strong brand today, and the brand recognition and the excellence of branding material that comes out, it's not me, it's the team, right? It's my head of marketing and the people, you know, the brand manager, the design team under her. Even if people change, what Sonia does, and you know, she's been with Lals now for almost 10 years, is she maintains a consistency in the branding, in the brand language somehow. This is what I've realized is her strength, right? And so to answer that question, how do you get brand recognition? I think consistency is one part of it. Of course, advertising, great products, great PR, outreach, all of that is also important. But I think you really become a brand when you have strong brand values and your design and everything aligns with those brand values.
Okay.
Yeah.
So आपने टीम की बात की.
जी.
अब a lot of times खास तौर पे when you work as a leader, आपकी टीम बदलती रहती है.
जी.
There are very few people जो लंबे अरसे तक आपके साथ रहते हैं. तो आपकी टीम में ऐसे लोग हैं जो throughout the beginning, from the beginning आपके साथ हैं अभी, या फिर अभी चेंज हो गए हैं?
We definitely have a few people जो शुरू दिन से हमारे साथ हैं. The first person I hired in marketing is today the head of marketing, so she's very much still there. Okay. Other than that, yes, people change. देखिए, I think कि कुछ periods होते हैं कंपनी और एक ब्रांड की लाइफ में जहाँ बहुत ज़्यादा चेंज आता है ना, तो it really derails the brand. Okay. But after a certain stage, when the brand is established, then even the changes, whoever comes in, they know, okay, yaar, these are the values of this brand. Right, so any new person to join Lals today, the interviewing process would be fairly rigorous to make sure that they align with our fit, with our culture, with our values. And you know, I think they would get the hang of it. But I think that when you're not fully established and people keep changing, brand में आप देखते हैं बहुत सारे brands में नजर आता है कि ये look आ गई, फिर colors change हो गए. That happens, and I always think that you know, it doesn't always work out.
So then how is building the core team? क्योंकि वो सबसे मेन है. Of course executives and officer level पे positions change हो जाती हैं, लोग change हो जाते हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा टिकते भी नहीं है, साल 2 साल में चले जाते हैं. But core team is are the people जो आपके साथ रहते हैं. So how was the experience of building that core team, and how do you explain your core team then?
Look, it's not been easy. It's really not been easy. There are people I hired who I thought would be part of our core team for life, and they turned out to be horrible human beings, you know, who left at the most inopportune moments in the worst ways possible. So बहुत मतलब धचके भी लगे हैं, ठीक है, इतना आसान नहीं है. And then I've had good people who've joined, left, and come back.
Okay.
Right? When they left, it wasn't that they were like, oh, we're leaving. Both parties, me and them, felt कि अच्छा ठीक है यार, it's not working out. Okay. And they leave. And then you realize you hire another person for that role, and you realize, okay, this person is just not getting the job, and maybe, we made a mistake. And a year later, you get back in touch, and that person might not be as happy in their old job or the new job, and they come back. So that has definitely happened to me on at least 2 occasions that I remember very clearly.
So while hiring a good resource, good would be defined by you.
Yeah.
So hiring a good resource, आप क्या चीजें देख रहे होते हो?
For me personally, I look for attitude, I look for culture, and I don't mean like what ethnicity, what I mean by culture, like, what kind of work culture, what kind of work ethic do they have? What is their body language like? It's a lot more fluffy stuff. I don't care so much about skill. I don't care so much कि आपने MBA कौन सी company से किया है, क्या है. It's more like how do you present yourself, how resourceful are you. That's a very important skill for me when I'm hiring. I like to hire people who are very resourceful, who are self-starters. I like people who are very organized. Okay, I have a bit of OCD, so if somebody comes with a very organized CV, I'm immediately like, खुद बनाया है किसी और से बनवाया है, right? Like, how is it?
So I think फिर आपके नज़र में टेक्निकलिटीज या टेक्निकल ट्रेनिंग जो है वो इतनी मैटर नहीं करती है जितनी उनकी सॉफ्ट स्किल्स मैटर करती है.
बिल्कुल. Yeah.
So talking about the leadership role, were you a born leader, or you developed those skills after the passage of time, and how was the leadership experience?
I don't know. This is a question to ask my parents if I was a born leader. I can't say that. Yeah, I think my personality shuru se has always been like a type A. Okay, even in school, I would organize school clubs, I would organize school events. Get my friends together, tell them what to do. कि अच्छा ये हमने ये event throw करना है. So I think I had that in me, that leadership or that telling people what to do trait. Okay, but true leadership, true management in the way that we read about today, it is tough. It's very tough. It's not just about कि here's my vision, now go. No, it's about really getting people to believe in a shared vision. Okay, it's not कि hey, this is what I want to export in 2024. No, do we believe we can do it? Do we together think? So coming up with a shared vision and then enabling people, getting out of their way, okay, enabling them to do what they need to do, but at the same time balancing, checking up on them. It's hard, right? I want to just give people the freedom to do. But then sometimes I'm like, oh, but are they really working? Like, what are they doing right now? Let me just check it. So, yeah, it's
it's about igniting that fire in them.
It's really hard. It's hard to be inspiring, all the time. Yeah, half of the time to inspire people is hard, yeah.
But then you try to avoid micromanagement, but you end up micromanaging.
Yeah. I mean, this is, something me and my head of marketing have had fights or arguments over, where she's like, you're micromanaging me. I'm like, well, you asked for my opinion. You said, what do you think of this design, So now I think the red should become blue and whatever. Like, yeah, I just wanted an opinion. Don't tell me what to do. So this is a constant struggle.
So I think I would mention Asad sir here. उनका जो तरीक़ेकार है, since I'm working on Hustle with him, he has his opinion. वो बताते भी हैं, but वो बताने के बाद छोड़ देते हैं. Up to you. अब वो ओपिनियन फॉलो करना है या नहीं करना है वो तुम्हारे अपने ऊपर है. बट वो ओपिनियंस देते हैं, वो फीडबैक देते हैं. वो नहीं देते तो मैं चली जाती हूँ ज़बरदस्ती, सर मुझे फीडबैक दें. और फीडबैक देने के बाद वो पलट के नहीं पूछते कि मैंने ऐसा बोला था तो तुमने ऐसा क्यों नहीं किया. तो आई एम ऑल्सो लर्निंग, आई एम एट दैट फेज ऑफ लर्निंग. लेकिन सो अगेन ये तो एक चैलेंज था. देन अब वो चैलेंज जो मैंने इमेजिन किया था कि हो सकता है एक ब्रांड को बनाने के लिए लीडरशिप, व्हाट चैलेंजेस यू थिंक वर the real challenges एक business को चलाने के लिए, या CEO as a CEO you're working?
For me, I mean, there have been so many challenges. COVID was a huge challenge. Okay, we didn't know if we would survive. The company would survive, right? We were like, how will we survive? How will we pay salaries? We don't have cash flow. What is going to happen? But I had a few key employees, my retail operations manager Steve, I remember him calling me, and it was like April first week. Everything in the country had been closed for like 2 weeks now. And he's like, नहीं मैम ठीक है हो जाएगा, you know, बस आप फिक्र नहीं करें, like कुछ ना कुछ कर लेंगे. हमने क्या करेंगे, like सारी shops बंद हैं, सब घर बैठे हैं, you know, we have maybe 3 months worth of operating cash, like how are we going to continue? And he's like, अच्छा, you know, let's see, there was some news कि bakeries को permission देंगे खुलने के लिए. And I said, but in हालात में who wants to buy cakes, who wants to buy anything, nobody's celebrating anything. And you know, he said, you know what, I'll go, and one person will go, and I'll open the shop. You know, we've seen our outlet on Shabazz.
Yes,
and
yes.
He went, and I think the first day he sold like 4 double rotis, you know, or something. Like it was 800 rupees worth of revenue. And he was like, let's just keep at it, you know, something will happen. And slowly people came, maybe people were in quarantine at home, they wanted a cake or something. And just, you know, the courage of other employees, other people, then gives you the courage to continue, right? But all I was doing sitting at home was making Excel sheets on liquidation. Like how will I get enough money to give people some, because to me it was a worst case scenario that the world is just going to be closed now.
So online लेकर जाना उसे, that was very challenging actually.
We already had an e-commerce website, but in COVID we realized that actually our e-commerce website is terrible. We need to make a brand new website. So we spent 6 months, we made a brand new website, and it started to do significantly better. We invested a lot more in social media marketing. 8 or 9 months into that, we realized, okay, this website is not good enough.
Oh.
We reinvested, made another website.
Oh.
And it was a really a bold decision, I think, at that time, because, you know, abhi to banayi thi, right? And making a website is a lot of time, effort, and money. But we realized that the platform we were on was not a high growth platform for the future, and it was going to keep giving us issues. और अभी वो issues छोटे हैं, अगर दिन में transaction volume कम है, but अगर हमें बढ़ाना है तो नहीं चलेगा. And it was, I think, an excellent decision on the part of the team who said कि no, we got to do this. Right?
So I think team का support और at times आप motivate नहीं करते, सामने वाला आपको
motivate
कर देता है.
Yeah, बिल्कुल, yeah.
So tell me one thing, कोई ऐसा इंसिडेंट, कोई ऐसा मोमेंट आपको याद हो अब तक के आपके प्रोफेशनल लाइफ में जो सबसे ज़्यादा टफ था? आपने बिजनेस के लिए बात की, कोविड की, अब वो बिजनेस के लिए टफ था, बट एट टाइम्स डिसीजन मेकिंग हार्ड हो जाती है. और आपने कहा कि शुरू से आपकी कम्युनिकेशन बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग थी, बट डिसीजन मेकिंग एक ऐसी स्किल है जो लोग ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम डेवलप करते हैं, बहुत सारे लोग, और बहुत सारी गलतियाँ भी करते हैं. तो कोई ऐसा मोमेंट या इंसिडेंट आपको याद है जिसमें डिसीजन लेना बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग था या बहुत टफ था?
Yeah, there have been so many decisions. The thing with making important decisions that affect the future of a company is that they're not one moment decisions. They're not gunpoint decisions. They are things that take months and months. There is एक बात थी कि हमने लाल्स शुरू किया 2007 से, ठीक है, और it was a chocolate shop. 2012 में we decided to expand into pastry, bakery, all kinds of baked goods. और उस वक़्त हमने जब वो एक बेकरी अब हमारी एक छोटी सी 400 स्क्वायर फुट की शॉप थी. उसके बाद we took this big building which is 4,000 square feet, okay? And the ground and mezzanine, about 1,800 square feet, were to be our outlet, and the rest was production and offices. तो जब हम वो बेकरी खोल रहे थे तो lots of people came to us and said कि यार आप चॉकलेट शॉप और बेकरी खोल रहे हो, कैफ़े क्यों नहीं खोल रहे हो? And we were like, नहीं, कैफ़े बिजनेस, we don't know anything about the cafe business. अच्छा, हमने अब वो खोल दी बेकरी, ठीक है. वो बहुत टफ था वो पीरियड, because I didn't know anything about setting up a bakery from scratch. Anyway, like I said, I just kept my head down, one step to the next step, figured it out. जब हमने वो खोला, people said कि हम तो यहाँ तब आएंगे अगर कोई खाना भी होगा, सैंडविचेस होने चाहिए, कैफ़े होना चाहिए. Really going against my gut, we did that. We entered the cafe business. And I feel that was a decision that was incorrect. It was a wrong decision. When your gut tells you, when in your core you know that this is not something that is for me, you shouldn't do it. We did it, and we stayed in the cafe business from 2013 all the way till 2020 for 7 years.
Oh my God.
Okay? And we stayed in it, and it was really, really tough for us, okay? Because what are we good at? We as Lals are very good at sweet things. we're good at chocolate, we're good at desserts. Making food and serving people like the way Espresso or other brands do, it's a different business. It's a completely different business. We thought that we can do both together. It was very hard for us. Every plate is a production. Every meal needs to be managed. The skill set is different. The staff is different. But we could not quit because it felt like a failure. We kept doing it. We kept doing it. Every 2 years, I would sit with my team and I would say, I hate the cafe business. Can we please exit the cafe business? I'm a perfectionist, okay, which might be a flaw, might be a, thing, a benefit, who knows. And I would say, yeah, this is not something we're very good at. I only want us to do something that we're really, really good at, okay? Yes, we can do challenges. Yes, we can try to become really good at things. But अगर हम इतने साल से try कर रहे हैं और नहीं हो रहा है, तो खुदा के वास्ते इसको छोड़ दो. बट हमारी जो आउटलेट्स, जो लोकेशंस थी, वो इस तरीके से बनी हुई थी कि अगर वो कैफ़े है तो वो पेस्ट्री शॉप भी है. अब वो आपने आधा बंद कर दिया तो वो किराया उसका बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाएगा. It was all kinds of complicated. But when COVID hit, everything was closed. Everything was closed. And that became the perfect opportunity for me to take that decision. Even though my head of marketing and many people said, no, we can't lose our cafes, we can't lose our cafes. What will happen to the brand? What will people think? And I said, we will figure it out. Because in my core, I knew it was the decision to be made.
So I have a question. Were they adding to your revenue? या तो वो लॉस में जा रहे थे या फिर आपको ऐसा लग रहा था कि हम परफेक्ट नहीं काम कर रहे?
देखो, they were adding to the revenue, okay, but they were not really adding to the profitability. Some months they were, some months they weren't, but they were sucking energy. Okay. They were sucking a lot of energy because we were spending time on something that we could not scale up, that we could not be so great at. What we could be great at was making chocolate. We just didn't have the time to do that because we were so focused on, you also have an ego. तो यार हर वक्त कैफे से कंप्लेंट्स आ रही हैं, हर वक्त आप कैफे को इम्प्रूव करने के चक्करों में पड़े हुए. September 2020 was when I made that decision. Okay, I gave Dolmen Mall the notice because that was one of our cafe locations that we will not be reopening this cafe. We took all our equipment. We opened a new outlet in KDA Scheme 1, which was just pastry and chocolate shop. Right? It has a coffee machine. You can come and buy coffee, but there's no kitchen. There's no food. It's a much simpler model for us. Okay. And I think it was just one of the best decisions I've made in the last 2 years.
And it took you like 7 years to decide that.
Yeah, it happens, but better late than never.
So like, who are your mentors? Because अगर ऐसी कोई situations आती हैं, किसके पास आप जाती हैं, किससे आप पूछती हैं, who teach you such things? क्योंकि I understand वो 7 years में आपने बहुत सारी trial and errors होंगे, but then there are people at times जो फैसले हम नहीं कर पाते, वो हमारे mentors हमें समझा देते हैं, सिखा देते हैं.
Yeah, I have close friends who I will call for, to discuss with them. देखो, I felt that, like, so I've been now working for say 13-14 years, right? जब से initially I wanted to reach out to like uncles and aunts and older people, different people. Then I would say that in the last 5-6 years, my own peer group is very strong. I'm part of what I was telling Asad earlier, this entrepreneurs organization. So I have a core group of entrepreneurs who I reach out to for advice if I need to. Also close friends. I feel that when you develop 7 to 8, 10 years of experience, you have it within you to make that decision yourself. So now I don't go to people for decision making. I'll go and I'll talk and I'll get the advice, but then I have to just sit in silence with myself and really understand, really make that decision from within. Does that make sense?
It does.
Like, I hope it doesn't sound fluffy, because it's really a change that's come. Before it was like, what do you think I should do? What do you think I should do? But now I sit and I look inwards because I know I have the experience to make it. Yeah.
So I completely agree to this. होता actually मैं अपना experience share करूँगी. होता ये है कि आप इतना ज़्यादा मसरूफ़ हो जाते हैं कि जिस चीज़ को आपको actually time देना चाहिए आप उसे नहीं दे पाते. जैसे कि अब decision लेना है. Executional part को हम बहुत वक्त दे देते हैं और डिसीजन मेकिंग को हम टाइम ही नहीं देते एंड इट इज़ लाइक अच्छा करना क्या है, जो करना है उसके लिए देयर इज दिस थॉट प्रोसेस, यू हैव टू गिव अ होलिस्टिक व्यू, आपको थ्रू आउट 360 डिग्री उसको देखना होता है, आपने स्टार्ट कहाँ से किया था, आपका विजन क्या था, एट द एंड आप कहाँ पर है, इसमें आपकी अगेन व्हाट यू सेड एनर्जी कितनी कंज्यूम हो रही है, बेनिफिट तो है लेकिन कॉस्ट ज़्यादा है, तो जब आप उसको एनालाइज करते हैं, उस डिसीजन मेकिंग को आप टाइम देते हैं और आपने कहा कि आपने खुद को वक्त दिया एक्चुअली उसके लिए, तो आप बेटर डिसीजंस ले पाते हैं एंड आई थिंक यू आर
बट दिस इज अ रीसेंट फिनोमेना फॉर मी, लाइक ये पिछले 2-3 साल में मैंने ये सीखा है एंड आई लर्न दिस फ्रॉम माय फ्रेंड्स who are really into therapy and meditation. You know, they have taught me that just sit with it, Madiha, just sit with it. And I was like, what do you mean sit with it? Because I'm a restless person. Yes. And like, you know, one of my friends, Marshall, she said, just sit with it. Just let yourself absorb something. Then see what comes to you. And that I've, you know, learned to do now.
So, आपके आसपास वाले आपको a lot of times बहुत कुछ सिखा देते हैं, आपके juniors आपको सिखा देते हैं, and if your friends said this, so my friend said this, chill करो, थोड़ा टाइम चिल करो जाके, and my teacher also said this when I met him, तो उन्होंने कहा कि तुम्हें एक नए पर्सपेक्टिव से अगर उस चीज़ को देखने की ज़रूरत है जिसका तुम डिसीजन नहीं ले पा रही हो, तो उसके लिए तुम्हें कुछ टाइम के लिए उसको छोड़ना पड़ेगा.
Yes, definitely.
And once you give yourself that time और आप थोड़ा जिसे आप कहते हैं चिल करते हैं, तो आप भूल जाते हैं कि एक्चुअली प्रॉब्लम क्या थी और फिर आप नए सिरे से उसे दोबारा से सोचते हैं. तो absolutely right. And the next question would be, आपने जो बात की क्विक सक्सेस वाली, मैं उस पर आऊँगी वापस से, and we'll add this into the tips, जो कि मेरा लास्ट क्वेश्चन होगा कि यंग एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को, यंग एम्बिशियस स्टूडेंट्स को आप क्या एडवाइस देना चाहेंगी, एंड स्पेसिफिकली वो लोग जो बहुत जल्दी कामयाब होना चाहते हैं उनको.
ओके, जो मेरी जो एडवाइस है ना, it's always been that you have to work really hard. Okay, you can be the most talented individual in the world, but if you don't do मेहनत, अगर आप लगे नहीं रहेंगे, ठीक है, आपने मेहनत करनी है और आपने लगे रहना है, हार्ड वर्क और परसिस्टेंस, मेरे ख्याल से ये 2 ट्रेट्स एक इक्वल सक्सेस. ओके, हार्ड वर्क एंड परसिस्टेंस, स्टे एट इट, ओके, एंड वर्क हार्ड एट इट फॉर अ एक्सटेंडेड पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. इफ यू think that in 1 or 2 years you'll become a master of something, I don't think that's possible. Maybe some people do, I don't know, I'm not one of those people. What I have seen around me and in my own experience is 7-8 साल लग के आप टाइम दें एक चीज़ को, and eventually you become a master at it. And whether it's a craft, whether it's a business, whether it's a profession, whether you're a banker or a lawyer or an artisan making something, when you dedicate a significant amount of time to something and hard work to it, you will become successful.
7-8 साल.
I think so.
Or maybe more than that.
Maybe more than that, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there are people who are like, they get this quick success 2-3 साल में.
Yeah.
But maybe वो temporary होती हो.
No, listen, we're talking about two different things. 1-2 साल में you will get short bouts of success, right? If you work really hard for the first couple of years, you will get a promotion. You work hard for, in something else. I'm just saying that the big break, the true mastery of something comes after that 6-7 year period, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
Okay. So, what tips you'd like to give to young entrepreneurs?
So I think, like I said, right, I think hard work and persistence, staying at something, just staying at it, continuing the course is really important. The other thing I want to say is that, look, your work, your job is not all you are. You are much more than that, okay? So don't wrap your entire self-worth around your financial or work success. You are also a human being who has a heart, a brain. So there should be other parts of your life that also fulfill you, that make you happy. This is not everything. When we wrap our entire self-worth around our job and things don't go well, it's very easy to get supremely depressed. Okay? But if you have other things, you have a hobby, you love to play tennis or cricket or anything you feel like doing, or you like to, go with your friends and converse about something other than work, just do other things as well. Don't obsess, don't make your life about your work. And I say this from experience. I'm obsessive. तो अब अगर मुझे चॉकलेट बनानी है और मुझे उसकी रिवर्स इंजीनियरिंग करनी है कि मैंने ये रेसिपी कैसे क्रैक करनी है, आई एम एट इट, लाइक इट्स ऑल आई कैन थिंक अबाउट. लेट एट नाइट आई एम वाचिंग वीडियोज ऑन चॉकलेट मेकिंग एंड माई हस्बैंड विल से, यू नो, लाइक वी आर स्टिल वाचिंग दीज. So I have to remind myself, yeah, I need to disconnect. And I think that's very important for people.
That was very good advice. क्योंकि ये actually वो चीज़ है जो लोग मिस कर देते हैं, फिर चाहे वो किसी भी स्टेज पर हो. ये I think ये young entrepreneurs के लिए नहीं है खाली,
humans.
For everybody. We actually forget to disconnect. Thank you so much, Madiha, for being here. I'm sure by these advices people must be learning out of it, क्योंकि ये सिर्फ young entrepreneurs के लिए नहीं था, it is for everybody. Disconnecting is something जो कि हम सब भूल जाते हैं, and at this point हम काम करते रह जाते हैं and we forget that we really need to disconnect. So I'm sure people must be learning out of it, and thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.